This is what it's like to be a woman on the internet who got doxxed by a newspaper owned by the world's richest man. Actual death threats and encouragement of suicide. Since liberal outlets only care when this happens to rich, famous national journalists, they'll ignore this. So, important work being done by Glenn Greenwald here. Definitely coming to the defense immediately. Glenn Greenwald tells Tucker that tweeting death threats and watching porn is an outlet for people who harbor a desire to murder and rape. He and Tucker argue that removing those safety valves of expression lead to things like January 6th. Kind of hard to decide which one.
Journalists love to talk about their death threats they get, you know, online. And everybody knows that if you get, like, the people who are really planning on coming to kill you aren't the ones tweeting at you that they're going to do that, right? Like, being able to tweet that is like an outlet.
Right.
You know, just like people say watching pornography is an outlet and alleviates the desire to go rape.
Okay. I've been talking and reporting for a while about how the rhetoric towards LGBTQ plus people has been ramping up in horrifying fashion, and this is obviously a very frightening thing that is happening. We've also talked a lot about how the Libs, a TikTok account, specifically will target queer teachers, teachers who are trans, teachers who are gay, and then take clips of them where they're talking about how they have either come out to their students or talking about how it's okay to have they, them pronouns, and then label them as pedophiles or groomers. They've also, done a lot of bad things. I would say you could consider doxing, where they'll directly show contact information of schools, teachers, and stuff like that, and then also label those teachers and or schools as enabling groomers or pedophiles to get people either fired or worse. They have resulted in people getting death threats. They've resulted in people getting fired. And HYPOCRITE has shown no signs of slowing down. Now, over the weekend, this happened where the Libs, a TikTok account, tweeted out a drag queen story hour event. This says, is advertising drag queen story hour specifically for preschoolers. The library is funded primarily by local property taxes. This resulted in the Proud Boys showing up and wearing a shirt that said "Kill your local pedophile," and terrorizing both the drag performer and the children who were there. Some of the quotes from that event. Dulce recounted the incident in an Instagram post. They were wearing AK-47 shirts. They recorded me on their phones. They yelled. They called me a T-slur, a pedophile, and an it, and totally freaked out all of the kids. They got right in our faces. They jeered. They attempted to escalate to violence. Dulce was forced to leave the event with a security guard and hide in a back office. Then, a politician said, Senator Scott Wiener says, yesterday, Proud Boys stormed the drag queen story hour at San Lorenzo Public Library wearing AK-47 shirts and calling the drag queen pedophile and it. A right-wing militia was arrested for planning to attack Pride in Idaho. Direct results of political attacks on LGBTQ people. And then this resulted in, subsequently, Wiener's office received a death threat filled with hate language and sexual obscenities with the subject line, "He will die today. We placed bombs in his office and his house. You bastards all deserve to die." End quote. Obviously, horrifying stuff that is taking place. Even, by the way, me, I guess, reporting on this on a regular basis and talking about Libs of TikTok has really upped the amount of really frightening emails I've been getting, including one I received the other day that just had like 3 slurs and just like copy and pasted over and over and over and over again, being like, we're going to come after your family, K slur, F slur, N word, all this other stuff, and just like all the way down. Because, yeah, this kind of stuff is inciting people and getting them incredibly mad and worked up, especially because they think they're there to defend children, when ultimately they're there scaring the fuck out of those kids. I can't imagine anything more horrifying than having a group of dudes show up, getting all mad and angry, fucking wearing shirts like this with cell phones and shit, screaming slurs at the person who is reading you children's stories. By the way, that's what was happening. There was no dancing, okay? There was no gyrating. There was no "it's not going to lick itself" sign. It was a group of kids who were being read books for children. That was it, and they showed up and terrorized them. This is going to be way more frightening to those kids than anything they were worried about happening from the drag queen story hour. And of course, that means that right away, Glenn Greenwald had to come to the defense of Libs of TikTok, because if you didn't know, Libs of TikTok has stated, "Hi, at FBI, I'm being threatened with a pipe bomb. Can you please look into this?" The message that Libs of TikTok got from an account called A Ridiculous Amount of Irony. Sent you a pipe bomb for literally supporting Nazi bigots, babe. Nail polish. Please Roblox yourself at your earliest convenience. And this was the message that apparently the Libs of TikTok account got. So Glenn went into the defensive. This is what it's like to be a woman on the internet who got doxxed by a newspaper owned by the world's richest man. Actual death threats and encouragement of suicide. Since liberal outlets only care when this happens to rich, famous national journalists, they'll ignore this. So, important work being done by Glenn Greenwald here. Definitely coming to the defense immediately of Chaya. It is also a bit convenient that HYPOCRITE decided to talk about the death threats that she's receiving after the event happened with the Proud Boys. Might have something to do with obfuscation, but that again is me adding my narration to the story. But you know what's wild about this is that Glenn Greenwald ends up doing this, gets 12.8 thousand likes, 3,000 plus retweets, and no corrections or anything so far. And the reason I say that is that, thankfully, we got a person like Matt Binder. Matt Binder does a little bit of research, takes him a couple seconds to figure this out. The radical leftist who supposedly DM'd the Libs of TikTok to threaten her was actually a right-wing fan of hers who thought she would get his sarcasm and enjoy his joke. The account says, "It was a joke. I was satirizing similar messages that account received. At Libs of TikTok had been getting similar messages, so I thought I would satirize
Clean
it.
up your room.
I was under the impression that since I perceived that account to be a lot more understanding of jokes, since that's what they posted, they would understand the intent behind the satirized message. Thought that mask was some hella sloosh skin. Nah, this isn't okay in my opinion. He has gay stuff all around his classroom. It just seems off on the whole thing. These are responses that the same account makes to Libs of TikTok on a regular basis. Faces that match the opinion." So this person was a big fan of Libs of TikTok, was also a huge fan of a whole bunch of other far-right accounts, including Andy No, Stone Toss, for example. "This proves to me that you like Twitter's left-wing bias and censorship and that what that maintained. You want the fucking police called over a troll? You're delusional." Because, yeah, she immediately went to @FBI on this one. So this was too little, too late. This account got nuked. It's gone forever because, you know, Twitter takes, I guess, credible threats very, very seriously when it comes to that kind of stuff. Doesn't really seem that Twitter cares about what Libs of TikTok is pulling off on a regular basis that is resulting in people getting actual acts of violence and threats and slurs hurled at them, as well as people getting fired. But when it comes to this individual, you're toast. No more. It's gone. The account owner has since deleted the this is ironic fire because they ironically couldn't handle the harassment from conservatives who thought that he was a leftist. Ah, well, the story has another twist. I didn't know that. They followed Donald Trump Jr., Steven Crowder, Dave Rubin, Andy No, and a slew of other right-wing pundits and personalities. And Elon Musk joined in on the fray, by the way. Elon Musk replies to Chaya's statement of getting death threats with "why" at Twitter. So, yeah, pretty amazing that Elon Musk decided to join in on this one. Here is another obvious right-wing troll that Libs of TikTok just shared with Elon Musk to prove the radical leftists are DMing threats. So obviously Libs of TikTok responds to Elon Musk, the world's richest man. Here's some of the stuff that I'm getting. "I just found your mom on Facebook. She's so cute and obese. It would be a shame if someone decided to cut the weight off of her and left her somewhere to bleed to death. Watch out." And turns out that that's not actually the profile picture. It turns out it was another troll on the internet and a far-right troll. So here's the thing. This is a combination of stuff going on. Far-right trolls eating each other, doing, you know, the epic trolling online, and then not really being able to handle the fallout. It would seem that call-out culture is a little bit extreme on the internet, and they're not a big fan of it. But they are fine dishing out hate. And the same thing applies to Libs of TikTok. Libs of TikTok is fine being a professional hate monger, being a professional bigot. HYPOCRITE is fine doing that on a regular basis and having a massive megaphone of over 1 million followers to do it with. But if you start pointing out the times that she has lied, if you point out the times that she has improperly labeled people as groomers or pedophiles, or that she's been a hypocrite in doxing people, that she has resulted in getting people fired, of getting people death threats, she'll block you. She blocked me right away. It was very, very quick. It was a rapid blocking, to say the least. But all said, these people are about to delude each other into finally forcing Twitter to release user safety features. Exactly, and I received about another 5 death threats in addition to this since yesterday. Elon Musk says why. Ian Miles Chong responds, "On a just platform, everybody would be treated equally. As it is, you can be banned for merely criticizing, not even threatening, woke progressives, but they can send conservatives death threats without any repercussions." Not true. That absolutely not true. Like, smaller accounts get roasted and toasted all the time. And then Elon Musk responds to Ian Miles Chong. like nothing. A platform cannot be considered inclusive or fair if it is biased against half of the population. Like, half of the country, sorry. Wild. Elon. I'm not going to give Elon, the credit that he didn't know who Ian Miles Strong is. He's the richest human being on the planet. He has more access to information than I think anyone else. Like Elon Musk, it's not that you should know better. It's that he doesn't care who he's palling around with. Again, just useful idiots or aligned with the same things as me and the same goals. Taylor Lorenz says, LGBTQ activists have called out Libs of TikTok, escalating attacks on the community in recent weeks. High right check of Libs of TikTok is going to get somebody killed. Right-wing influencer Glenn Greenwald, who has notoriously downplayed harassment against women journalists and said death threats are an inevitable part of a public platform, has jumped to High right check's defense, claiming she's been harassed and targeted by the LGBTQ community. By the way, don't forget that Glenn Greenwald also said in a conversation with Tucker Carlson that he believes things like porn and death threats and stuff are kind of like a release valve to be able to stop people from enacting those things in real life, and that when people get censored on a variety of social media platforms, that it could result in real world violence. But I guess that doesn't apply when it's the Libs of TikTok going after the LGBTQ plus community on a regular basis. As I reported, the Babylon Bee, which Musk has close ties to, invested in Libs of TikTok, allowing High Right Check to grow the media company full time since she's launched libsoftiktok.com, which is synced to her Substack. More on Musk and Bee. OMG, yes, why at Twitter? Thank you, Elon Musk. Matt Binder did the whole debunking of the thing. These people are deleting each other. The thing is, there's not going to be a retraction from Glenn Greenwald because he doesn't care. Okay, he doesn't care about this. He has an agenda. I'm like, everyone can look past this. We're so far beyond the whole, well, Glenn Greenwald used to be a very good reporter back in the day. He did important work, and then it just seems like he's kind of fallen off of a weird path. You know, he's a shell of his former self these days. I don't know what to expect. No, it's become very clear what Glenn Greenwald wants, believes, and is trying to advocate for, and what side of this, let's just say, attack on the LGBTQ plus community he's willing to take a side with. Glenn Greenwald tells Tucker that tweeting death threats and watching porn is an outlet for people who harbor a desire to murder and rape. He and Tucker argue that removing those safety valves of expression lead to things like January 6th. Kind of hard to decide which one.
Everyone there's all kinds of studies about how, people talk about, journalists love to talk about their death threats they get, online. And everybody knows that if you get, like, the people who are really planning on coming to kill you aren't the ones tweeting at you that they're going to do that, right? Like, being able to tweet that is like an outlet.
Right.
Just like people say watching pornography is an outlet and alleviates the desire to go rape. When you give people a channel to express themselves, to express their anger and their critique, and whether it's like QAnon, which I think happened to be more of like a kind of protest movement, we're saying things that we know are upsetting elites, and that's kind of part of why we're saying it. It became like a kind of identifier of dissent. When you crush it, you've now taken away the outlet, the peaceful outlet that people have. And when you tell them they can no longer use the internet to gather with like-minded people and exchange grievances and organize, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, exactly.
They have no other alternative but to engage in destabilizing and violent ends. And I think a lot of what we saw on January 6th was that notion that, well, we don't really have the democratic process or the basic civil liberties that we were taught as children we can expect by being in the United States. And so gathering together and protesting and storming things is the only option we have left.
Well, yeah, because they took away the pressure relief valves.
Yeah, this all makes sense. It all checks out. Either way, support people, please, like Matt Binder, who actually do real, I guess you could call this journalism, whatever you want to call it, who actually spent a couple seconds just to go on the Wayback Machine and actually pull up the tweets that prove that this was actually a right-wing troll who loves Stone Taw, Sandy No, Steven Crowder, that kind of stuff, and was trolling Libs of TikTok, and then was just flabbergasted that Libs of TikTok would use an @FBI on him. But, yeah. And meanwhile, the liars are going to keep lying. It seems like it's just the way. Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form. Available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Just, we are prepared to embark on a mighty jihad in your name. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are but your humble jester, attempting in vain to get you to laugh. To our valiant knights of the Round Table, Benji Arnie, Tech Tink, Scary Earth Human, Tony, DM Rivera, Resident Scarecrow, Sir Nickus, Mayred, Cheryl Alvarez, Ruby Kelly, Brandon, Words Greenwood. It doesn't matter what I believe, it only matters what I can prove. Hagbird Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Vivienne McCarthy, Daniel Sutton, Coulter Smith, Jenna Tao, Quiet 185, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, The Tim Caucus, Multimondi, Trevbot, EXE, Brian Ephraim, Lemmy 101, Anthropophojack, Saren 42, Catherine, Ramon Acosta, Incosin, Agent NDN, Violent Orchard, Political Puppy, La Media Panza, Zach Christensen, Todd Buckingham, and Todd Lajeunesse. We raise our mugs and salute our brave heroes off to another glorious conquest.